Welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at evolution. But, and this is a big but, we're not just talking about the dinosaurs and the fossils and all that.
Right.
We're going way beyond biology, and we're going to explore how the ideas of evolution apply to everything. Ideas, technology, even like our thoughts.
It's almost like stepping back, like really taking a step back and seeing the bigger picture of how
Yeah.
change happens, not just out there in nature, like everywhere in life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And the way we're going to do this, the material for this deep dive, it's actually two audio lectures. They're called The Evolving Self '05 and The Evolving Self '06.
Okay.
So the big idea, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to understand how the principles of evolution, they go way beyond just like living things,
Right.
and they get into like the fabric of everything, culture, our world, like how does this impact you? That's what we're really looking at.
Because we're not just watching this whole evolution thing happen. We're a part of it. Like we have a role in figuring out what survives, what does well. You know.
So, okay, where do we even start? This is huge. Well, these lectures, they talk about this idea of psychic energy, which is kind of a weird term, but basically it's all the time and attention and work we put into things.
Right.
And that might sound kind of out there, but it's like the fuel for how culture evolves.
It is. It is. It's like, think of it like money in this evolution market. Our psychic energy is what we're spending.
Mm.
And what we spend it on, well, that's what grows. That's what spreads. And ultimately, that's what shapes the world.
And this is where things get, well, a little creepy. One of the first things they point out is that exploitation, well, it's just kind of built in. Like wherever there's a difference in power or in who has resources or even information, that's where exploitation can start.
Yeah. And they talk about three main ways this happens. Oppression, that's when, the powerful take freedom from people who aren't as powerful. And parasitism, that's like someone just draining your energy. You might not even notice it's happening.
Oh, wow.
And then there's mimicry, like trying to gain your trust by pretending to be something they're not.
Oh, mimicry. That's a tricky one. I feel like we see that all the time. Like so many ads and messages are designed to make you trust them or want something.
Exactly.
And it's hard to tell what's real, what's not manipulation, right?
Absolutely. And I can give this example. There's this guy, Jeff. He's a manager, right,
Mm.
at this utility company, making bank,
Mm.
super successful. But his job owns him.
Sounds like the classic burnout story.
Yeah.
But what does this have to do with exploitation?
Well, he gets to this point where he's like, wait, this success is costing me everything, my family time, my relationships, everything. Like he's being used, like exploited for all his time and energy. And he has a choice. Stay on this path or find a new one.
Okay, so what do you do? Stick with the corporate world.
He bailed, left the whole thing behind, decided to run a franchise, outdoor equipment, spend time with his family, fix up an old house.
So he traded the big money, high stress for something more him, more what he valued.
Exactly. It's like when you see how you're being exploited, you can start making different choices.
Mhm.
Choices that might actually be, well, better for you.
So it's about having a choice. Like even when it feels like you're stuck, you can always look at things differently and get your energy back.
Yeah. It starts by paying attention. Where's your energy going? Are you being taken advantage of? And most importantly, what really matters to you?
So awareness, then action. But how do we even start to make sense of all this? The world is just flooded with information and influences.
Well, that's where this idea of memes comes in. And no, we're not talking about those funny cat pictures you see online.
Okay, so what's a meme in this context then?
It was Richard Dawkins who came up with this term meme. It describes like units of cultural information, like genes, but for culture. They replicate, they evolve. It's like the building blocks of culture.
So like a catchy song or a political ideology or even something like, I don't know, the invention of electricity. Those are all memes.
Bingo. They're ideas, behaviors, styles, anything that spreads from person to person. But here's the kicker. Memes, they compete to survive. And guess what their battleground is? Our minds.
Whoa, that's kind of freaky when you think about it. Like our brains are this battleground for ideas.
It is. And the ones that work best, the ones that spread, well, those are the ones that win. The survival of the fittest, but for ideas.
Huh. And that can lead to some interesting outcomes. The lectures actually talk about weapons.
Yeah.
Weapons as an example.
Think about it. You start with a basic axe,
Hmm.
then spears, then shields, and eventually, boom, you've got like the nuclear bomb. Each new thing, it sparks something to fight against it, something even more powerful. It's like this mimetic arms race.
Wow, an arms race for ideas. It makes you think, do memes always have to be good for us to survive?
That's the question, isn't it? And, well, no, not always. Think about alcohol or tobacco. They spread like crazy. They tap into what people want, even though, they can be really bad for you.
So it's not always about progress or getting better. Sometimes these memes, they can hurt us.
And then there's, well, technology. Airplanes, cars, houses. At first, they were like dreams come true. But then they started needing more and more from us, shaping our lives in huge ways.
Like, are we really in control of technology or is it controlling us? Like, are we just slaves to our phones and social media?
It's a question we need to be asking, especially now with how fast things are changing. And that ties into this big idea from the lectures, the illusion of control. We think we're making free choices, but are we? How much of that is just the memes we've already absorbed telling us what to do?
Like, we're being, like, subtly manipulated by these memes. They're shaping what we want, what we do, and we don't even know it.
And that brings us to another key point. Attention. The lectures were very clear. Attention is what memes need to survive.
Okay, break that down for me. What do you mean by attention is the currency of meme survival?
Memes, they're all fighting for our attention, which is, let's face it, limited. And the more attention a meme gets, the more it gets copied, it spreads, and then it really starts to change the world.
So it's like they're all fighting for a piece of our minds, and with all the information and stimulation coming at us all the time, it's no wonder we feel so overwhelmed and
It's
distracted.
a huge challenge, and it raises the question, what memes are winning your attention, and why? What's shaping your thoughts, your desires, your actions?
So many memes all fighting for our attention. It's a lot. Is there any way to like deal with this without feeling like we're, I don't know, like puppets, just being controlled by these memes?
That's the question, right? And the lectures, they do give us some hope, I think. They talk about this thing, complexity. Basically, the idea is the more diverse a system is and the more connected everything is, well, the more potential there is for harmony.
So it's not just about having lots of different things, but about them working together.
Yeah, and this whole complexity thing, it's playing out against these two forces in evolution, harmony and entropy. Harmony, that's about working together, using resources well. And entropy, well, that's about exploitation, conflict, basically things falling apart.
So it's this constant back and forth, like a tug of war that shapes where evolution goes.
Exactly. And sometimes it's hard to say which side is winning. Like, take animal husbandry. Is that harmony? We're providing food, shelter, working with animals. Or is it exploitation? Are we just putting human needs ahead of the animals?
That's a good point. It's not always so black and white.
Right. And the lectures, they talk about mass consumption and the environment too. Like, that's entropy in action, right? We're so focused on getting stuff for ourselves, for our comfort, that we're messing up the whole planet.
That's kind of scary. Like our desire for more is gonna destroy us.
It's a real concern. But that's where complexity comes in. The more complex a system is, the more potential it has for harmony.
Can you give me an example? Like what does that look like?
Sure. Think about, like, a person, someone with lots of different interests, skills, goals.
Hmm.
But they find a way to make all those things work together. And that same idea, it applies to families, societies, even ecosystems.
So it's not about everyone being the same. It's about having all these differences and figuring out how to work together so everyone benefits.
Exactly. Diversity isn't a bad thing. It's actually what makes a system strong and resilient.
Wow. Okay, so how do we take this idea of complexity and actually like build a more harmonious world?
The lectures say we got to think about how we're using our psychic energy. Are we putting it towards things that help people work together, things that are sustainable? Or are we feeding the things that cause exploitation and conflict?
So we need to be careful about what we're consuming, the things we buy, what we believe in, because those choices, they're actually shaping the future.
Exactly. It's about making choices that match the kind of world we want to live in. And it's not just about what we do as individuals, but also the systems we're part of. Do they support diversity? Do they bring people together? Or do they just keep the same power structures in place?
That's where things get complicated, right? Like we're part of these systems that might be exploiting people and we don't even realize it.
You're right. That's why being aware is so important. We got to step back and look at these systems we're in, our jobs, communities, even our families. Ask the hard questions.
Hmm.
Who benefits from this? Who's being hurt? And what can I do to change it?
So it's about asking those tough questions. Who benefits? Who's being exploited? And what can I do to make things fairer?
Exactly. And sometimes changing things means challenging the way things are,
Well,
speaking up when something's wrong, fighting for people who are being treated unfairly. It's not always easy, But if we want a better future, we got to do it.
I'm starting to see how this all connects. It's not just about understanding evolution, but about being a part of it, like actively shaping it.
Exactly. We're moving from just watching memes to actually choosing them. Like we're becoming gardeners, tending to the memes we want to grow.
Okay, that makes sense. But where do we even start? It still seems like a huge task.
It starts with understanding, seeing how memes work, how they influence us. Then we can start making conscious choices about what we support, what we resist.
So being more intentional with our attention, our energy, our choices.
Exactly. It's not about creating some perfect world, but about growing and adapting. It's about knowing that we have the power to choose to create something better.
I'm really starting to see how it all fits together now. Evolution isn't just this idea, it's something we're actively participating in.
Exactly. We're not just products of our genes or our upbringing. We have a say in how things unfold. And that's pretty powerful.
Wow, I mean, we really went deep today. Exploitation, memes, that whole idea of control being an illusion and attention being like the fuel for evolution. It's like we peeked behind the curtain and saw all these forces shaping how we think and act.
It really changes how you look at things, huh? And the best part, I think, is realizing that we're not just along for the ride. Like, we have a choice in this.
Okay, but it still feels kind of overwhelming, like all these memes battling it out for our attention. How do we actually take control? How do we like direct our own evolution?
Well, the lectures say understanding how this all works is the first step, like becoming aware of the game so we can make smarter choices.
So instead of just being like swept along by whatever's trendy, we can actually be intentional about where we're going.
Exactly. It's not about rejecting everything, but about being choosy. Like once you see how memes compete for our attention, how they can, use us or lead to things falling apart, well, you can start making different choices.
Can you give me an example? Like what does that look like in real life?
Sure. Think about like your relationship with technology. We talked about how it can be addictive, how it can want more and more from us, but it can also be awesome for connecting with people, for being creative, for learning. It's about how you use it, right?
So instead of just like scrolling forever on social media, I might set some limits or like
Fixed.
actively look for stuff that actually, matches what I believe in.
Exactly. Or, I don't know, let's say you're really into like saving the environment. Well, you might start being more careful about what you buy or support companies doing good things or even, fight for laws that protect the planet.
So it's about like making your actions match the future you want to see. Choosing memes that build things up, not tear them down.
You got it. And this goes for everything, your relationships, what information you take in, even the work you do. We can all make choices that are good for ourselves and for the world.
It's funny. We started talking about how like animals evolve, but now it feels like we're talking about something way bigger, like how consciousness itself evolves.
Yeah, it's like we're going from just consuming memes to actually creating them. Like we're not just the audience anymore. We're the writers of the show.
That's a really cool way to put it. And it reminds us that like we have this responsibility to not just understand how evolution works, but to use that knowledge to build a better future, a future that, actually reflects what we care about.
That's it. And it's not about being perfect. It's about growing, changing, evolving. It's about knowing we have a choice and using that choice to make something awesome.
This whole conversation has given me so much to think about. Thank you so much for sharing all this with me.
My pleasure. I hope it gets you thinking too and maybe inspires you to learn even more.
And to all our listeners out there, keep those brains buzzing. And remember, the future isn't something that just happens. It's something we make, one choice at a time.